This presentation will provide guidelines to ensure Word documents created are accessible. Designing an accessible Word document is easy and requires some thought, planning, and knowledge. In my presentation, I will provide an example of a typical Word document, address accessibility issues, show how to correct those issues, and finally, provide some additional guidelines and takeaways. This slide represents a typical Word document. Contained in the document are 3 paragraphs, a title, 1 image below the title, and the other image to the right of the 3rd paragraph, and 2 hyperlinks. Looking at the document, it would appear from first glance that yes, the document is accessible. A title is present, images are included to provide clarity as to the topic being covered in the paper, several hyperlinks are visible, and paragraphs are of a decent size. To check the Word document's accessibility, the accessibility checker needs to be activated. To perform the accessibility checker, go to Main Menu, select File, click on button that reads Check for Issues, which will display a list of options. Select Check Accessibility. The picture displayed reflects these steps. After this process has been performed, the checker will display a list of accessibility issues, the type of issues, and where those issues exist within the document. The Word document I displayed had several issues identified. The picture displayed reflects those issues. I will read the list of issues identified. The first issue pertained to the lack of descriptions for my pictures. The second, my links were unclear as information was lacking about those links. The third, text wrapped around the images. And lastly, unnecessary spaces and characters exist between paragraphs. Let's look at how to correct those issues. The first issue on the list pertained to the lack of descriptions for my pictures. A description is needed for a screen reader to read to a viewer who is visually impaired so the individual will understand the relevance of the picture to the topic covered in the document. Without a description, the image has no value to the viewer. Therefore, every image, regardless if the image adds value, requires a description. To add a description, right-click on the picture, select Format, choose Alt Text option, add a title and description if necessary. Now, when the screen reader arrives at the picture, the title and description will be read to the viewer. The picture shown also reflects these exact steps. The second issue listed pertains to 2 URLs that lacked descriptions. To correct this issue, highlight the link, select Insert on the menu bar, choose Hyperlink to Edit Link, add a description in the Text to Display dialog box that best defines this source, and if necessary, provide more detailed information by selecting Screen Tip. The picture shown also reflects these exact steps. The third issue relates to text wrapping around images. Images need to be in line with the text. To correct this issue, right-click the image, select Wrap Text on the list, choose In Line with Text. The image will be placed on the same line as the text. The picture shown also reflects these exact steps. The last issue on the list identified unnecessary spaces and characters between paragraphs. Looking at the Word document, these issues are not obvious. However, when a screen reader arrives at these spaces and characters, the screen reader will perceive these as blanks. The individual hearing this information will assume he or she has reached the end of the information. To correct, first remove unnecessary spaces and characters. Then highlight text or the paragraph, right-click and choose Paragraph on the list, and format appropriately. All of the accessibility issues identified have been corrected as reflected in this picture. To repeat, the document now has images that contain descriptions, URLs are clearly described, images are in line with the text, and all spaces and characters have been removed. Please note, the changes did not alter the document's intended goal nor its content. The changes have made this document easier to navigate and comprehend. The next 2 slides I have listed several other guidelines to follow. These guidelines, along with examples I have presented, will make your Word documents accessible. This slide lists 5 guidelines. The first pertains to using Microsoft Word's style sheet or templates. Using these sheets or templates will ensure the format is consistent throughout, making navigation of the document easy. The second guideline applies to document format. The preferred formats are Word, web page, and PDF. The third guideline stresses the fact that documents should have headers. Headers set the tone as to the topic being covered. Fourth, also pertains to headers but within tables. If tables are used, headers are necessary to identify the information in the column and/or row. In both cases, headers make it easier for the screen reader to navigate the document. The last guideline relates to selecting simple font style for easy readings. This slide lists the last 5 guidelines. The first guideline pertains to font size. The recommended size is 10 to 12 points. The second on the list relates to the use of color. Only use color if necessary and stay away from red and green, as some individuals might be colorblind. The third on the list specifies that spacing should be 1.5 to support easy reading. The fourth states that sentences should be short and concise, with paragraphs containing, if possible, 1 to 2 sentences. This again supports easy reading and comprehension. The last guideline refers to the use of a table of contents. For long documents, a table of contents should be inserted into the document. This will provide easy navigation of those documents. My final 2 words are navigation and comprehension. Remember, all viewers, regardless of their disability, should be able to navigate a document without barriers or difficulty. Additionally, the document should be easy to understand, so meaningful connections can be made and learning can be accomplished. If this mindset, along with the several examples and guidelines reflected in this presentation, are integrated into your best practices, your Word documents will be accessible to everyone.